You have, guess what? I have your money. Everyone sitting on me. I go and check on every day. She's calling. I call her to check on every day. Yeah.
Season 12, Episode 15 of Love and Hip Hop. Atlanta delivers a shocking moment that leaves both the cast and the audience speechless. Known for its intense drama and personal conflicts, the show takes an unexpected turn when Lil Scrappy drops a revelation no one saw coming. Scrappy, a man known for his strong personality and complicated relationships, suddenly finds himself facing a betrayal that shakes his entire world. The episode begins like any other day for him and his wife Bambi. Despite the challenges they've faced in their marriage, they are focused on co-parenting and trying to maintain stability for their children. They spend time together as a family, attempting to strengthen their bond. But beneath the surface, something much more serious is happening. What starts as a normal day quickly turns into a nightmare. Scrappy, who has always taken pride in his resilience, reveals something that completely upends his life. Over the past few years, he had noticed unusual charges on his credit card statements. At first, he dismissed them, thinking they were small mistakes or misunderstandings. But as time went on, the charges became more frequent and the amounts kept increasing. What started as minor expenses soon escalated into something shocking. Scrappy couldn't believe it when he added everything up. The total was over $1 million. At first, he thought it had to be fraud. Maybe a stranger had stolen his card information, or someone had gained access to his accounts. But as he investigated further, a disturbing truth came to light. The charges weren't random. They all pointed back to one person, his wife, Bambi. The weight of the betrayal was crushing. Scrappy had trusted Bambi completely, giving her access to his finances to help with household expenses and emergencies. Never in his worst nightmares did he think she would misuse that trust in such a way. This wasn't just about money, it was about trust, honesty, and respect, things that are supposed to be the foundation of a marriage. Scrappy was heartbroken. He confided in his closest friends and family, hoping for some guidance. Their reactions ranged from shock to outright anger. Some urged him to take legal action immediately to protect his finances before things got worse. Others simply couldn't believe that Bambi had done this to him. But despite the advice, Scrappy hesitated. He didn't want his private problems to become public, especially because of their children. No matter how hurt he was, he wanted to shield them from the chaos. However, he knew he couldn't avoid the conversation forever. The moment finally came when he sat down with Bambi to confront her. The air was thick with tension as he placed the bank statements on the table. His heart pounded as he waited for her reaction. At first, she seemed calm, almost as if she didn't understand what was happening. This only made Scrappy even more frustrated. He had expected guilt, regret, some kind of acknowledgement. Then, everything changed. As Bambi looked through the statements, her expression shifted. Her face paled and her hands trembled. She tried to deny it at first, insisting that there must have been a mistake. Maybe there was an error, or someone had made unauthorized charges. But Scrappy had the proof. Every single transaction traced back to her. There was no escaping the truth. The tension escalated as Bambi's initial denial turned into an emotional breakdown. Tears streamed down her face as she finally admitted what she had done. She insisted that she hadn't spent the money out of greed or selfishness, but out of desperation. She explained that she had been struggling, feeling unheard, and trapped in a marriage where she couldn't express her needs. Instead of talking about it, she turned to spending money as a way to cope. She convinced herself that she was helping their family in her own way. But for Scrappy, it was too late. The damage had already been done. He listened to her words, but his heart was shattered. Money could be replaced, but trust? That was something much harder to rebuild. He asked her the one question that had been running through his mind. "Why didn't you just tell me?" Bambi sobbed, searching for an answer that could undo what she had done. But there was none. She knew she had made a terrible mistake. She knew she had risked everything, their marriage, their family, their future. But whether Scrappy could forgive her was another matter entirely. As the episode comes to an emotional close, viewers are left wondering what will happen next. Will Scrappy find it in his heart to forgive Bambi and work through the betrayal? Or has this broken trust marked the end of the relationship for good? One thing is certain, nothing will ever be the same again. Bambi felt like she was drowning under the weight of her responsibilities. Being a mother, a wife, and trying to handle her own struggles left her feeling lost. She didn't know how to put her feelings into words, so she found an escape: shopping. For a little while, buying things made her feel like she had control over something, even when everything else in her life felt chaotic. But what started as a small comfort quickly grew into something much bigger, something she could no longer hide. When Scrappy saw the bank statements, he felt like the air had been knocked out of him. He stared at the numbers, trying to make sense of them. But no matter how hard he looked, there was no way to explain them away. He felt betrayed. It wasn't just about the money, it was about trust. The woman he had built his life with had been hiding something huge from him. And now he was left wondering, how long has this been going on? Why didn't she just tell me? He waited until they were alone to confront her. The tension in the room was suffocating. Scrappy placed the bank statements on the table between them, his voice firm but laced with hurt. "Tell me the truth," he said, searching her face for honesty. Bambi's eyes flickered to the papers in front of her. At first, she looked confused, almost like she didn't recognize what she was seeing. Then, as realization sank in, her expression shifted. She hesitated, swallowing hard. This must be some kind of mistake," she murmured, though her voice lacked conviction. Scrappy shook his head, his jaw tight. "No mistake. These are all yours. I checked." A heavy silence filled the room. Bambi's face paled as she scanned the numbers. At first, she wanted to deny it, to find some excuse that could make it all go away. But with each charge staring back at her, the truth became undeniable. She had done this. Tears welled in her eyes. "I wasn't trying to hurt you," she whispered, her voice cracking under the weight of her guilt. Scrappy exhaled sharply, rubbing his temples. "Then why, Bambi? Why would you do this? Why wouldn't you come to me?" Her hands trembled as she wiped at her face. "Because I didn't know how to," she admitted. "I felt like I was losing myself. Between taking care of the kids, our marriage, everything, I felt like I was drowning. Shopping was the only thing that made me feel like I had some control, even if it was just for a little while." Scrappy clenched his fists. He wanted to understand, but the hurt was too deep. "Do you have any idea what this feels like? It's not just about the money. You hid this from me. You broke my trust." Bambi let out a sob, covering her face with her hands. "I didn't mean for it to get this bad. At first I thought I could fix it before you ever found out, but it just kept getting worse, and I didn't know how to stop." Scrappy leaned back, exhaustion weighing him down. He wanted to be angry, to yell, to make her feel the same pain he was feeling. But more than anything, he was just tired. "I don't know if we can come back from this," he finally said, his voice low, almost defeated. Bambi's heart clenched. She had known this moment would come, but hearing those words out loud shattered her. She had made mistakes, big ones, but the thought of losing him, losing everything they had built, was too much to bear. "I'm sorry," she said through her tears. "I know sorry isn't enough, but I don't want to lose you, Scrappy. I love you." He looked at her, his eyes filled with so much conflict. He had loved Bambi for so long, through so many ups and downs, but this betrayal, this cut deeper than anything before. Could he ever trust her again? Could they move past this? Or was this the moment that finally broke them for good? The night dragged on, but neither of them had an answer. The silence between them was louder than any argument they could have had. For fans of love and hip-hop, this was a moment no one saw coming. Bambi and Scrappy had been through so much. But this felt different. The fallout wasn't just another scandal, it was a breaking point. Would Scrappy find it in his heart to forgive her? Could they rebuild the trust that had been shattered? Or was this the end of their marriage? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain, nothing would ever be the same again.